A very good evening and welcome. This is Weekend Primetime News here on MTV Sports and Shakti TV. I'm Ramesh Thirugal Bandara. Let's start off with a look at your headlines.
Interrogation of the 3 LTT suspects brought to the country from Malaysia commences. Who shot down the Malaysian Airlines flight MH17? The mystery continues. President Rajapaksa inaugurates the National Kite Festival in line with Social Integration Week, in which Newsfirst is a partner. Opposition leader suggests that the parliamentary and provincial council elections be held at once.
On to our top story tonight. The Terrorist Investigation Department has commenced interrogating 3 LTT suspects that were brought back to the country from Malaysia. Now, these 3 suspects were arrested in Malaysia recently.
Reports suggest that one of 3 suspects designed a suicide vest which was used in the suicide bomb attack against former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga.
They are being detained at the Terrorist Investigation Division under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. They are being interrogated at the moment, especially we are going to collect evidence in respect of terrorist activities that were conducted by them, especially in year 2004 and 2005. Thereafter, they will be dealt with the law. Further investigation are being continued by TID.
Remains of bodies, debris and still burning engines. These were the visuals that residents of the Donetsk region in eastern Ukraine saw after Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 crashed in the area. Now, Ukraine accused pro-Russian rebels of shooting down the plane. Newsfirst Sulfik Farzan reports.
Pro-Russian separatists in Ukraine have been accused of removing 38 bodies from the Malaysian Airlines crash scene and attempting to destroy evidence at the site. The rebels are, however, denying any involvement. Now, children in the ground described that it was raining people after the passenger plane was shot down with 298 people on board. Wreckage lay scattered in a field in eastern Ukraine as investigators and emergency officials probed the downing of a Malaysian airliner with 298 people on board. The plane crashed about 40 kilometers from the border with Russia near the regional capital of Donetsk, an area that is a stronghold of rebels who have been fighting Ukrainian government forces. Leaders of the rebel Donetsk People's Republic denied any involvement and said a Ukrainian Air Force jet had brought down the intercontinental flight. Observers from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe visited the scene of the crash.
Well, we were promised access. We received it. So we have to work very quickly to see what's going on in terms of safety, security, the perimeter, the state of the bodies of the souls that died, the wreckage, and also the black boxes. Our reporting, which we'll do tonight, will help the officials at a higher level decide on the next course of action.
However, it was later reported that Russian rebels have stopped inspectors from investigating the MH17 crash site, amid reports that the black box record is on its way to Moscow. Earlier yesterday, Russian President Vladimir Putin called on the Ukrainian government and pro-Russian separatists to lay down arms and enter into a ceasefire agreement. The rebels are suspected of owning one of the Russian-built surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs, blamed for the attack. Meanwhile, President Barack Obama said that a surface-to-air missile fired from territory controlled by Russian-backed separatists in Ukraine was responsible for shooting down a Malaysian passenger plane.
We know that they are heavily armed and that they are trained, and we know that that's not an accident. That is happening because of Russian support. It is not possible for these separatists to function the way they're functioning, to have the equipment that they have. Set aside what's happened with respect to the Malaysian Airlines, a group of separatists can't shoot down military transport planes, or they claim shoot down fighter jets without sophisticated equipment and sophisticated training, and that is coming from Russia.
Russia's defense ministry spokesman denied the downing of a Malaysian airplane in Ukraine.
Considering various insinuations regarding the actions of the Russian Federation in the regions bordering with Ukraine, we declare that on the 17th of July, Russian air defense facilities did not work in the given region. Russian Air Force's planes did not fly in Russian regions that border with the Donetsk region. This data is fully confirmed by recorders.
The Pentagon has used high-tech listening satellites to trace the deadly path of the missile that apparently destroyed Flight MH17. Now, according to a report by the Los Angeles Times, intelligence officials most certainly relied on a technical discipline known as MASINT to obtain key bits of information about the missile launch. The plane is believed to have been shot down using a Buck surface-to-air missile system. The Buck-SAM is a mobile missile system that includes a target acquisition radar vehicle, command vehicle, and several other key components. The unit comprises of 4 surface-to-air missiles, which can travel at a speed of Mach 3 and can reach a target traveling at an altitude of 72,000 feet. This weapon was designed by the Soviet Union and then by its successor state, the Russian Federation, to fight cruise missiles, smart bombs, and unmanned aerial aircraft. Four Ukrainian military planes have been shot down since June, and 2 most certainly by rebels. But the other 2 were shot down at a high altitude like Flight MH17, and it's not clear who or how they were brought down. Who shot down Malaysian Airlines Flight MH17 remains a mystery. The Newsfirst International Desk will continue to monitor the latest developments on the story.
Thank you, Zulfik, for that update. Let's now take a look at one of our top local stories. The Election Commissioner's Office has informed all former members of the Uva Provincial Council to hand in their government-issued vehicles.
Deputy Election Commissioner M.M. Mohammed stated that a circular was issued calling on all members to hand over the vehicles to the Chief Secretary of the province. He also stated that steps have been taken to hand over a list of names of former provincial councillors to the Uva province returning officers.
With that being said, let's now take a look at the battle for Uva.
Nothing beneficial has happened to the Uva province. The lives of the people of Uva have not become better. These politicians act to further their own personal gains. Their parties don't have any agenda.
The price of rice has increased. The prices of vegetables has increased. 1 green chilli is priced at 10 rupees. Opposition against the government in Badul has grown. They will take steps to defeat this government and hand the JVP a greater victory than they won in the western province and in the southern province.
They're trying to make this government kneel. It is the Mahinda Rajapaksa government that protected the right to life. Don't get depressed because of small shortcomings. We will strengthen all families within the next 4 to 5 years through this government.
This is an economic struggle, so prepare yourselves to fire the first shot from the Uva Vellasa battleground. Remember that if you get fooled this time around, they won't be distributing alcohol and packets of rice during the next election. They will be distributing coffins.
We will win this election. Why should SLFPers battle for preferential votes? Isn't it shameful?
While politicians are gearing up for the Uva Provincial Council, we received this report from the Badulla district, where promises made by politicians to the people failed to materialize. People in the district have been forced to use a raft, as the bridge they were promised during elections has not been fixed as yet.
There is no bridge to cross the Loggalauya in Balagolla Palla Arava, which comes under the purview of the Badula Meegaha Kivula Divisional Secretariat. For many years, this has inconvenienced around 600 families. As there is no bridge in sight, residents of 8 villages have no option but to use a raft, which is used to mine sand. When the raft is not available for crossing, this is the plight of the people.
During election period, they promise us everything, but once it is over, they never focus on our issues.
Everyone comes and inspects this. They say they will construct the bridge. So far, nothing has happened.
Even children from these 8 villages are forced to use this raft as a mode of transport to get to school.
Only 5 or 6 children turn up in school when it rains. For 5 years, we have been calling for this bridge to be constructed.
We do not need any fancy thing. If we can get to the other side without getting wet, it is more than enough.
The National Kites Festival 2014 was held in 7 locations around the island today on the theme National Unity through Social Integration. The main function of the National Kites Festival was held at the Golf Green under the auspices of President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
The National Kites Festival, which is being organized by the Ministry of National Languages and Social Integration, is being held in collaboration with Newsfirst, UNDP, UN Volunteers and Kite Sri Lanka. President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who arrived at the Golf Green today, joined the National Kites Festival with Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara. The public then received the opportunity to take part in the National Kites Festival, displaying national unity. According to the Ministry of National Languages and Social Integration, kites have been in Sri Lankan culture for an extended period of time, and therefore it serves to promote the theme of national unity through social integration. Another phase of the event allowed individuals to cook and consume various cultural delicacies. Subject Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara addressed those gathered at the event.
සුළං වැළඳගෙන සමානත්වයේ සුළඟ වැළඳගෙන මේ විදියට ආකාශයේ පියාසර කරන.
We hope that we could embrace the winds of equality and be happy like these kites that soar in the open skies. Positions or wealth do not matter when we live our lives in this way. This is the concept, the right for everyone regardless of their position or walk of life to join this event with a kite. That is the message of social integration.
ඇති නැති හැමෝන්ටම සරුංගලයක් හදාගෙන මේ උත්සවයට සහභාගී වෙන්නට තිබෙන අයිතිය මේ ඒකාබද්ධතාවයේ පණිවිඩයයි.
රටේ සියලුම දෙනා විවිධ භාෂා කතා කරන විවිධ ජනවර්ග සියලුම
People who speak various languages and follow various religions have gathered at the same time in 7 areas of the island to join the kite festival. Newsfirst and the Capital Maharaja organization did not think twice about joining this project, as we have understood our responsibility in creating national unity by bringing everyone together.
සියලු දෙනා එක්කහු කිරීමේ වගකීම Newsfirst හරියට තේරුම්ගෙන තියෙන නිසායි.
A cultural show was also held at the event with the aim of promoting social integration. A national languages stall was set up at the site of the event in order to create better awareness on the national languages in Sri Lanka. The National Kite Festival was also held in Batikalo, Galle, Hambantota, Jaffna, Mana and Mullaitivu in line with the main event in Colombo.
Well, President Mahinda Rajapaksa has said that Sri Lanka has made significant gains in the construction sector. He made this statement during a discussion held at Temple Trees yesterday.
The discussion held at Temple Trees last afternoon was amongst leading industrialists and exporters in the country. The discussion was held to obtain the ideas and proposals for the 2015 budget. Today the market has expanded. In the recent past, countries which we did not have close ties with have signed trade agreements with Sri Lanka. So we must grab the opportunities emulated by these agreements. If you take a look at the construction sector in our country, it has developed to a whole new level from where it initially was. No one can deny this. I strongly believe that it is time now that our construction experts begin travelling overseas to use their skills. President Rajapaksa also attended the National Nutrition March this morning, organised by the National Nutrition Secretariat and the Industrial Technology Institute in line with the National Nutrition Month. President Rajapaksa thereafter inspected the exhibition being held at the Industrial Technology Institute.
The National Nutrition Secretariat of Sri Lanka says that 32% of the school children in the country are suffering from iron deficiency. The head of the Secretariat, Dr. Lalit Chandadas, points out that the public should refrain from consuming food that cause health problems.
National Nutrition Secretariat of Sri Lanka says that the food we consume and our habits are the main causes of non-communicable diseases. Addressing a media briefing at the Industrial Technology Institute, officials of the National Nutrition Secretariat stated that steps are being taken to safeguard the nutrition levels of the public.
One out of 5 persons in this country have iron deficiency. When we suffer from iron deficiency, our minds do not function in its full capacity. 32% of our school children are diagnosed with iron deficiency. What is the reason behind this? What we do not know is the rice that we consume today does not contain the amount of iron required as it did a few generations ago.
අඩුයි අපේ පාරම්පරික හාල් වල තියෙන යකඩ ප්‍රමාණයට වඩා.
ඉගෙනීමට ළමයින්ට තාමත්ම විශිෂ්ට අවධානයක් යොමු කරනවා වගේ.
Just as we give priority to our child's education, it is also important that the parents pay attention to the nutrition of these children. If we do not do so, we cannot expect any development in a child's mental capabilities or his personality.
පෞරුෂත්වයේ වර්ධනයත් ළමයාගේ වර්ධනයත් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න බෑ.
අපිට අනවශ්‍ය ආහාර වගේම අපිට වසවිසෙන් තොර ආහාර.
We have a right to obtain food that are nutritious and free from contamination. What we need and what we are hoping for is the development of biotechnology. We are hoping by next year we will have the ability to certify food that are safe and free from contamination.
Opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe has called on the government to conduct both the general election and the provincial council elections at the same time. The opposition leader made these comments during a tour of Kandy yesterday.
Opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe met with the chief prelate of the Malwatu chapter, Most Venerable Tibbatuwabe Sri Sumangala Thera. He also met with the Most Venerable Udugama Sri Buddha Rakita Thero, the chief prelate of the Asgiri chapter. Provincial council elections were held twice. Our people don't work for around a month because of the Sinhala New Year and Vesak. 5 months have been spent on elections. In such a backdrop, how is the country going to develop? I propose to conduct both the provincial council and parliamentary elections together. Since the executive presidency will be abolished, it won't affect us. The people have to exercise their franchise, however, it shouldn't become something that hurts them. Ranil Wickremesinghe arrived at the sacred temple of the Truthful Lake and was welcomed by the Diyavadana Nilame Pradeep Nilangadala. The opposition leader also visited the Gatambe Viharya in Kandy and met with its chief incumbent, Venerable Kapitiyagoda Siri Vimala Thero. Meanwhile, a membership promotional program under the auspices of leader of the opposition, Ranil Wickremesinghe, took place in Gampola today. Prabhakaran attempted to destroy the Sinhalese and Tamils by creating national disharmony. Prabhakaran failed to do so. However, the government is undertaking that same initiative. They are trying to corner the Sinhalese Buddhists by dividing the country. That is what has happened and nothing else.
I was listening to a speech. He says that there is no roof made of leaves today. That is an extraordinary thing to say. Back then, late President Premadasa created the housing concept. Things that were covered in here disappeared. Who did it? It was the UNP.
That was a means of communication used to spread messages some time back. Well, incidentally, this method was used in the heart of Battaramulla today to inform residents of Kaduwela about their duty to pay taxes.
The objective of the revival of this method of communication was to make the public aware of the benefits they receive by paying tax in property. The program was held under the auspices of Mayor of Kaduwela, G.H. Buddhadasa.
We expect to collect taxes without taking the people to courts and seizing their property. We wish to do it in a cordial manner. A large sum of money is spent on the development of Kaduwela. Our main objective is to collect tax in property. We collect money for the development of Kaduwela. Taxes need to be collected. A large sum is due. We are making the public aware of this.
Accountant at the Kaduwela Municipal Council, KMRP, said that a sum of 50 million rupees is due to the council as tax in property. A total of 105,562 persons have been registered as individuals liable to pay tax in property in the Kaduwela Municipal Council area.
We have used the Herald to go out to the streets and raise awareness on tax in property. If people continue to refrain from paying these taxes, then we will have to seize the properties and sell them off to recover the taxes that are due.
UNP parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva says that the trend to steer the United National Party towards victory has begun. He made this comment at an event in the Ambalangoda area today.
The event was held under the Janajaya program to recruit new members to the UNP.
මාස 3කට කලින් මගෙන්වත් ඇහුවා නම් ඇත්තටම ඔබතුමන්ලාට පුළුවන් වෙයිද ඊළඟ පාර ඡන්දේ ජයග්‍රහණය කරලා රජයක් පිහිටවන්න කියලා මම දෙපාරක් හිතනවා.
If I was asked the question whether we will be capable of securing victory at the next election 3 months ago, I would have thought twice about it. It is not the same today. The trend has started. It is clear that the UNP will secure victory from all corners of the country, including the north. That is why there is a fear to allow 10 MPs to visit and inspect a state institution. The government is attacking us from all directions. We will not be deterred by it.
ආණ්ඩුව අපිට එහෙන් ගහනවා මෙහෙන් ගහනවා නමුත් අපි ඔය ගහන කිසිම ගැහිල්ලකට වැටෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Chief Minister of the Northern Province, C.V. Vigneshwaran, says that the President has not fulfilled the promises he made to the Northern Provincial Council and the local government institutions. Now, the Chief Minister made these comments during an event in Chavakatcheri, Jaffna.
The Swarna Jayanti Town Hall in Chavakatcheri was declared open today.
வேலைகளில் மாற்றம் ஏற்பட்டதால் கட்டிடம் முழுமை பெறவில்லை.
This building project commenced back in 2011. Because of the issues that arose within the project, the construction of this building was delayed. When the mayor of the Chavakatcheri Urban Council raised this issue at the District Development Committee, promised before the gathering that funds will be allocated through the Presidential Fund. 2 weeks later, he said no. What happened to me on the 2nd of January has happened to your local government institution. The has a habit of making statements to please everyone and later work against it. He promised that the Chief Secretary of the Provincial Council will be transferred on the 2nd of January. Later on the 19th of January, when declaring open the Thelipale Cancer Hospital, he said that it cannot be done. Has provided answers while concealing the truth. The same thing has happened to you. He says in front of everyone that things will be done and 2 weeks later he says it will not happen. That is his habit. He says no through the Chief Secretary.
குணாதிசயத்தை வெளிக்காட்டுகின்றது. தரமாட்டேன் என்று எங்கள் பிரதம செயலாளர் ஊடாகத்தான்.
UNP parliamentarian Sadit Premadasa says that the independence levels of the police has decreased due to the non-implementation of the 17th Amendment to the Constitution.
අද දිනපතාම පාහේ සුපුරුදු සිද්ධියක් වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ පොලිසිය පුරවැසියන් මරනවා.
Police murdering citizens and the public murdering the police has become a common occurrence. This is like a game. All this is taking place because there is no good governance in the country. The main reason for such incidents is the abandoning of the 17th Amendment to the Constitution. A According to the amendment, an independent police commission would be set up, one which is free from political influences. The duty of the police should be to ensure that law and order reign supreme. Today the law is not being implemented properly. It is being implemented according to the wishes and instructions of the leaders. The parliamentarian made this statement during an event to donate money and furniture to the UNP branch office in Godawaya, Ambalantota.
On to business news tonight. According to the latest statistics released by the central bank, importation of building materials, transport equipment and investment goods saw a sharp decrease during the first 5 months of this year.
The central bank in its latest statistics showed that expenditure on investment goods decreased by 18% during the first 5 months of this year in comparison to the same period last year. The expenditure on machinery and equipment reduced by 15%, while importation expenditure on transport equipment went down by 32%. The decrease in expenditure for building materials stood at 15.9%. However, the central bank also notes that import expenditure on intermediate goods such as food and petroleum rose during the first 5 months of this year.
The inauguration of Academic Sessions 2014 organized by the Sri Lanka College of Oncologists was held in Colombo yesterday. Now the event saw the participation of many medical professionals including the president of the SLCO, Dr. Mahendra Silva. Senior consultant clinical oncologist Dr. Jayantha Balawardhana delivered the Dr. Kumar Veeraratne Memorial Oration on the topic The Evolution of Breast Cancer Management in Sri Lanka, Biology Matters. On to sports news now. South African bowler Vernon Philander has been fined 75% of his match fee by the International Cricket Council for ball tampering during the ongoing first test between Sri Lanka and South Africa. The 29-year-old was deemed to have scratched the surface of the ball with his finger and thumb during the third day's play in Galle. Now the punishment was accepted by the player without contest. Nevertheless, Sri Lanka posted 110 runs for the loss of 1 wicket at stumps on day 4 and require another 260 runs with 9 wickets remaining to win the first test encounter against South Africa after the visitors declared their second essay on 206 for 6, leaving the hosts a target of 370 runs. Sri Lanka were bundled out in their first innings earlier today for 292 runs.
If it is not keeping wicket, test goal.
Batting in their second innings with a lead of 163, the Proteas batted on until tea and declared with a score on 206 for 6. AB de Villiers top scored with 51 of 58 deliveries. Dilruwan Pereira impressed with the ball yet again, bagging 4 wickets for 79.
It's got him. It's a good catch. Sharp. It's got him. He's disappointed the park. He just bumped. Top shot. That's him. It's a bit full of that time. He's whacked that away for 4. Good shot. Kumar Sangakkara has bought him another Test 50. He missed that.
And with that, we wrap up Weekend Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandara. Good night.